Good morning again. Let's carry on and let's do some meditation to start out. And we will, let's see if we can do some death reflections as we go on and see if that how that works out. So we'll start the meditation that we normally do. And close your eyes. We'll start off by feeling your body and making sure, as always, that you are at ease, that you are relaxed, that you are comfortable, allowing the body to fade away. The body is not the object of this meditation. The object is just mindfulness and the mind. So you want to get the body out of the way. So just find that nice balance in the mind and the body, where everything fades away beautifully there. And just take your time. Urgency is never the path of meditation. Just slowly here. Slowly here. The danger as we come closer to the end of the retreat of the mind going into the future and thinking about those events that come afterwards. But actually, the reality is it's always a bit disappointing when you come to that future. It's never very interesting. So stay in the present. This is where the action is. This is where we create that future. Just by being peaceful, having the right attitude, building up the right perceptions. So forget about that future. There's nothing really there. Now is where the action is. Stay with the present and enjoy it. Just a sense of peace, a sense of not having any duties, nothing really going on. And what a wonderful thing that is. The idea with the beginning of meditation is to establish a degree of mindfulness, a sense of being in control of the mind. The mind is not running all over the place to the past, to the future, to fantasies or whatever, but having a degree of being in the present and also a sense of clarity, not too clouded by tiredness, not confused by restlessness, but a sense of clarity in the present. That is what mindfulness really is about. And once you have a sense of clarity, a sense of empowering the mind, then you can choose pretty much any kind of meditation object, any kind of theme, and you can go with that theme. And the mind will tend to follow along. The mind becomes like an obedient pet, does exactly what you want it to do. The mind becomes workable, pliable, supple, as it says in the suttas. And then the meditation becomes possible because the mind is in the right space. Now we'll try to take the meditation in the direction of a death contemplation. There isn't any right way of doing this, and so this is just a suggestion for you to follow a kind of pattern, to have something to focus on now. And the main importance of this meditation is to make it as real as possible, because it is when it is real that it has power. Sometimes you have to have like a illness or something for it to become real. But let us try to make it real now, because then we can use the power of the end of life to empower the meditation and empower the spiritual path right now. What a blessing that is if we can make that work. And remember that one day is going to be the last day of your life. And because you don't know when that's going to be, the only time you can be ready is now. So now we have to get into that mode of thinking that this could be our last day. And if you make that clear, it has a powerful effect on the mind. It takes out all the nonsense, the silliness, the pettiness, the stupid desires of everyday life, and allows the mind to come back into the present. The person who is skilled at dying becomes peaceful, becomes quiet, and just enjoys the last few moments. So start out by just imagining yourself. This is the last day of your life. Yeah, maybe you are lying down on a bed somewhere. Maybe you're in a hospital. Maybe you had an accident. Maybe you have a sickness. Whatever the reason might be, you're finding yourself in a hospital right now. You're lying in a room, and there is nothing of interest in this room. The walls are bare and white. There is no window. The door is closed. And you have met the last people in this lifetime. From here on until the moment you're going to be dead, just a few hours away, you will not be meeting anyone. You're lying on your back in a hospital garment, in a white kind of garment, looking at the ceiling, which is also white. There's nothing of interest. All you're doing is waiting to die. Nothing is going to happen between now and your death. What does it feel like to be in this situation? Just take a mental note of that feeling. Are you ready to die? As you are lying on this bed, time is ticking. You're getting closer and closer to your final moments. And as you are getting closer, you realize that so many things in this world that you have to let go of. You cannot take these things with you into the future after you pass away. The most obvious things that you have to let go of are all the possessions you have in this life. Your house, your car, everything you own, even including all the clothes that you're wearing. Everything has to be left behind. What does it feel like to let go of everything you own in this life? as you are lying in this very simple room, time is getting shorter and shorter, closer and closer to the time of your final passing. And remember again that now is the only time you can be ready to die, because you don't know when it's going to happen. Now is the time to be ready. So again, you recognize there's more things that you have to let go of, more things you cannot take with you into the future. The obvious thing is all the people in your life. Dying is a solitary thing. You have to rely on your own resources, and you have to say goodbye and wish everyone in your life well, and then carry on your own. So now is the time to let go of all the people in your life. Time is counting down. You realize there's even more things that you have to abandon as you're approaching your final moments. And one of the things we have to let go of is so much of our sense of identity. So much of our identity is tied up with this particular world right here. Our sense of accomplishments in this world, our career, our education, even our gender, our social status. All of these things are tied to this life. Now, in the face of death, they mean nothing. You have to leave it all behind. And all you really carry with you from here on is the qualities in your heart, the qualities that you have built up in this life, your goodness, your kindness, your generosity, your compassion. These are the qualities that you take with you as you are passing away. So let go of all the things that belong to this world and just carry with you the things that you have lived for in a good way, the good qualities of your heart. getting yourself ready for your passing away now. What a delightful thing it is to let go of so much of this heavy ego, this ego that is so obstructive and also so vulnerable in the world there. And the lightness that comes with letting go of all of that and just carrying with you the spiritual qualities that you have into the future there. So feel, if you can, that sense of lightness, of being unburdened by all the things of this world. And feel that ease of moving forward without all this baggage. The moment of passing away is getting closer again. You realize that even your physical body has to be left behind. So now is the time to let go of the holding on to this body here, and instead to identify with the mind. The mind is what you take with you as you pass away. So let go of even this physical body here, this heavy burden that we carry with us, and feel the lightness of letting go of this. As you keep letting go in this way of all the things that belong to this world, all the things you cannot take with you into the future. There comes a point when you're no longer sure whether you are dead or alive. It's a strange thing. We think that there is a clear boundary between death and life, but actually there isn't. It's just like a natural continuation there. But it's a beautiful continuation there, because you have unburdened your life of so many of the heavy things. It's like you're moving on with gladness, with a light heart, in the sense of moving on with hope and gratitude into the future. you carry on in this way, you feel this beautiful sense of freedom and liberation, liberation from so many burdens, so many heavy things in your life that you have left behind. And because of that, you start to wonder why you were so afraid of dying. Dying is a beautiful process. For a good person who carries with them a good heart, it is delightful to let go of all the heavy things of this world. You feel light, you feel free, you feel a sense of joy in moving on in a beautiful way, in this way. Then, as you experience the beauty of the final moments of your life, you feel a sense of gratitude, a sense of gratitude to all your Kalyana-mittas, a sense of gratitude for having these wonderful teachings of the Buddha to guide you in your life. And you kind of think back to all these people who have made these final moments of passing away possible, to make them so beautiful. It is because you have lived well, and because you have had the right kinds of friends in this life. You open up your heart, and you have a sense of gratitude for all of these beautiful, wonderful people in your life. And on that gratitude, we have a sense of metta, a sense of love and friendliness towards all of these people in your life. May every one of you, may you be well, may you be happy, may you fare on in this life in a good way. And bound your awareness to include all the people on this planet, all the animals, all the beings that exist connected with this earth. You feel a sense of gratitude for everyone there, because everyone has in a way touched your life. Everyone has been part of your existence in a certain way. Everyone on this planet, all the beings, may you be well, may you be happy. Right. Now just come back to your breath again. Just hang out with your breath for a few minutes. once again coming close to the end, and before you come to the end, again, ask yourself, how do you feel now? And if you do feel a sense of peace or ease or mindfulness, or whatever positive quality there might be, ask yourself why that is the case. What has happened during this meditation? How does this process actually work? The end of the meditation. So let's have a break, and then we come back and carry on around 10 o'clock. And, yesterday we had a look at the sutta on how to get rid of resentment or ill will. And today we're going to carry on roughly the same theme. We're going to have a look at the Simile of the Soul Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 21. And we did speak about the simile of the soul at the beginning of this retreat, and when we're looking at the greatest sutta on the elephant's footprint, and this is that actual sutta that we come to now. So this is where that simile actually occurs. And so it is about overcoming ill will and developing metta. So it's kind of similar theme as what we did yesterday. So this is how this sutta goes. And again, this is Bhante Suttanto's translation of this particular sutta. So I have heard that one time the Buddha was staying in Savatthi in 𝐁𝐫𝐴's grove, another Pindika's monastery here. And then there's a ... which means that I have left out a large part of the sutta, and we're going to come to the essential part. I want to give you the kind of the real deal here, so you don't we don't spend too much time on things that are a little bit on the periphery. So you can read it up yourself if you're interested. And then the Buddha tells a story. Yeah, he doesn't tell all that many stories, but sometimes he tells little stories to make a point. This is one of those stories. Just give me a second. Just clear my vision a little bit. Samadhi is even more important, but kind of fixing it with classes also helps a little bit. Yes. All right. So once upon a time, mendicants, right here in Savatthi, there was a housewife named Vedehika. She had a good reputation, like this. The housewife Vedehika is sweet, even-tempered, and calm. Now Vedehika had a bonded maid. A bonded maid is like a maid, you know, like a little bit like a slave, perhaps, named Kali, who was skilled, tireless, and well organized in her work. Then Kali thought, my mistress, Vedehika, has a good reputation as being sweet, even-tempered, and calm. But does she actually have anger in her, or just not show it? Or does she have no anger? Or is it just because of my work is well organized that it doesn't show her anger, even though she still has it inside? Why don't I test my mistress? So this is what kind of the maids sometimes do. They test you. They get to test you out to see how well you are doing in your practice. So Kali got up during the day. In other words, she didn't get up in the morning. She just got up in the middle of the day. Vodeka said to her, "What the hell, Kali?" This is Bhakti Sujata's translation. I think this is a kind of free, what do you call a free translation? It's not exactly what the Pali said, but it kind of makes sense. What is it, madam? You are getting up in the day. What's up with you, girl? Nothing, madam. Nothing up, nothing's up. You bad girl, but you still get up in the day. Angry and upset, she scowled. Then Kali thought, my mistress actually has anger in her, and she just doesn't show it. It's not that she has no anger. It's just because my work is well organized that she doesn't show anger, even though she still has it inside. Why don't I test my mistress further now? Well, this is going to be scary, right? What's going to happen next? So Kali got up even later in the day, and Videka said to her, what the hell, Kali? What is it, madam? You getting up even later in the day? What is up with you, girl? Nothing, madam, nothing up, and you bad girl, and you still get up later in the day. Angry and upset, she blurted out angry words. The first you scowl, then the angry words come out. What's going to happen next? Then Kali thought, my mistress actually has anger in her and just doesn't show it. It's not that she has no anger. It's just because my work is well organized that she doesn't show her anger, even though she still has it inside. Why don't I test my mistress further then? She's really pushing it. This is going to get dangerous. So Kali got up even later in the day, and Vedeka said to her, what the hell, Kali? What is it, madam? You're getting up even later in the day. What is up with you, girl? Nothing, madam. Nothing is up with you, bad girl. And still you get up even later in the day, angry and upset. She grabbed a rolling pin and hit Kali on the head, cracking it open. You know what a rolling pin is, right? It's when you want to bake something and it's kind of heavy piece of wood, basically, or whatever. And if you hit someone on the head with that, well, that's going to be bad news. Then Kali, with blood pouring out of her cracked skull, denounced her mistress to the neighbors. See, ladies, what the sweet one did. See what the even-tempered one did. See what the calm one did. How on earth can she grab a rolling pin and hit her only maid on the head, cracking it open, just for getting up late? Then, after some time, the housewife Vedeka got a bad reputation. The housewife Vedeka is fierce, ill-tempered, and not calm at all. So this is the story, of this is one of the stories that the Buddha tells. Very simple story, nothing fancy about it, but it kind of makes an important point, and that is whether your actual defilements that come out under stress when situations are difficult. And if life is very easy, it's easy to be all smiles, easy to be happy. But when you get tested, that's when you find out what kind of defilements you have remaining. That's kind of the point here. And so, so this is kind of a good test for all of us to see what's going on. And also, it is nice to see here the idea of, this is the maid, And of course, the idea is sometimes it's easy to treat people higher up than us in the social hierarchy. Maybe our boss or whoever it might be, we treat them nicely because we don't have much choice, We don't treat our boss nicely, we have a problem. Or when Ajahn Brahm comes to Singapore, you normally treat Ajahn Brahm nicely, right? You're not going to kind of shout angry words at Ajahn Brahm usually. That kind of feels really bad. But sometimes how we treat the ordinary people in our life, the people who serve us, who look after us, the people who don't really matter whether we are kind to or not. That is when we show the real quality of our heart. We treat everyone nicely, even the most humble person, the most humble being, the most humble animal. When you treat them with kindness and care and love and compassion, that is when you show the real quality of your heart and how you are dealing with the world around you. So this is kind of the other thing, lesson here in this particular simile here. So the lesson is not that we should go around testing other people. That's not the lesson, right? Okay, I'm going to test 𝐿𝐿. Let's see how cool she really is. And just see what happens. Please don't test other people, because that's also not such a good idea. But just look after yourself. That's what this is about. Okay, so then in the same way, a mendicant may be the sweetest of sweet, the most even-tempered of even-tempered, the calmest of the calm, so long as they don't encounter any disagreeable criticism. But it's when they encounter disagreeable criticism that you will know whether they are really sweet, really even-tempered, and really calm. I don't say that the mendicant is easy to admonish if they make themselves easy to admonish only for the sake of robes, alms, food, lodgings, and medicines, and supplies for the sick. Why is that? Because when they don't get any of those things, they are no longer easy to admonish. But when the mendicant is easy to admonish purely because they honor, respect, revere, worship, and venerate the Dhamma, the teaching, then I say that they are easy to admonish. So mendicants, you should train yourselves thus. We will be easy to admonish purely because we honor, respect, revere, worship, and venerate the Dhamma. That is how you should train. Yeah, so the idea of being admonished, we should see it as an opportunity for growth. Yeah, this is what it really is in the teachings. And someone admonishes us in the right way, with a kind heart, helping us to see our flaws. Actually, that is a way of helping us to move forward, and we should see it as something positive. And if someone criticizes us for no reason, we just shrug our shoulders and say, whatever, it's not my problem, it's their problem. If they can't tell the difference between a good person and bad qualities, actually they are the one who have the problem. So it's, again, as I mentioned before, this beautiful verse in the Dhammapada, where they say that when someone points out a flaw in your conduct, it's like pointing out a treasure, yeah? And you should raise your hands and Anjali, say, oh, thank you for pointing out this treasure here. It's kind of hard, right? If someone criticizes you, that's kind of the ideal thing that we should do. Actually, first of all, reflect a little bit. Okay, are they just coming from the wrong place, or are they really helpful? But then later on, when you realize that they pointed out something good, you can actually, yeah, it's kind of nice to even thank them for pointing out the flaw, if they did it in the right way. So this is kind of the right way of thinking about this, because we understand that this is what life is about. Life is about transcending our problems. Life is about purifying our hearts. And if someone helps us to do that, wow, it's a gift, right? That is what it really is. And so it's understanding the purpose of the Dhamma, the purpose of life, why the Buddha gave us these teachings. And then you kind of can react appropriately because of that. Mendicants, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. The speech may be timely or untimely. It may be true or false. It may be gentle or harsh. It may be beneficial or harmful. It may come from a heart of love or from secret hate. When others criticize you, they may do so in any of these ways. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected. We will not blurt out bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that person. And with them as a basis, we will meditate, or we will dwell, spreading a heart full of love for everyone in the world. Abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity, and free of ill will. That is how you should train them. So here we have 5 ways of speaking. Yeah, and one thing here is how we should react to other speech. And the other way, of course, is how we ourselves should aim to speak to others. As for how we should aim to speak to others, we should obviously aim to do the positive side. We should speak kindly, truthfully, gently, beneficially, with a heart of friendliness or love for the other person. Yeah, so this kind of gives you an idea. This is an alternative to the 4 ways of right speech, an alternative way of thinking about speaking. Yeah, timely speech. Yeah, knowing the right time to speak to others. There's a tendency for human beings for us to speak when we feel it is right. Yeah, sometimes it's almost as if there's a pressure inside to speak. Now I must speak. And very often that pressure comes from defilements in the mind. Yeah, if you are upset about something, it's almost a compulsion inside of you to speak at that time because the upset makes you act. Yeah, this is what upset or defilements do. They force you to act. But very often it has nothing to do with the right time and everything to do with your personal defilements. So make sure you make that distinction. Just because you feel compelled to speak doesn't mean it is the right time. Hold back, wait. When is it right for the other person? When are they ready to hear your criticism or your words of advice or whatever? And when they are ready, that is when your words will have an impact. That's when they will work, yeah, because their mind will be open, they will be ready to receive it. Otherwise, if you say it at the wrong time, people often become defensive. They don't want to listen to what you have to say. Yeah, this is kind of very natural because our egos get hurt, so we get defensive. But when they feel that you are coming from the right place, that you have their well-being at heart, yeah, when they feel that you have their well-being at heart, then you will tend to be open. So it's beautiful to be able to say, listen, friend, you know, I know these things happen to you, but maybe here's an alternative way of looking at things. And when they really feel your kindness and compassion, they will listen to you. So timely speech is really important, knowing when the other person is ready. True, not false, obviously. This is kind of basic right speech. Gentle and not harsh. Yeah, you speak in a gentle way. Beneficial and not harmful. Yeah, you want to benefit the other person. And sometimes there's this thing about not being compelled by your own defilements, but actually really wanting the benefit of the other person. You really are compassionate. You want to see them more happy. You want to show them a real problem, right? It's actually quite rare for people to speak like that, really out of compassion for the other person. So it's a beautiful way of speaking, and the other person will feel that if you do that in the right way. And then from a heart of love or compassion rather than from hate inside. Yeah, all these things kind of go together. If you can speak like that, wow, that's extraordinary. Yeah, and I know some of you do that already, and probably it's hard to do this all the time. So this is an area where probably all of us can make improvements. But even if the other person does not reach this height of right speech, yeah, that doesn't mean that we should react back in a bad way. If other people speak like this, still you are able to be unaffected by this bad speech. I talked about this quite a bit already, but there's this idea that, you know, again, bad things can be heard in this world. If you have ears, you're going to hear bad things. And the answer is not to cut off your ears. The answer is to kind of accept and understand the nature of the world, the nature of reality, the nature of other people, etc., etc., as I've been talking about quite a bit, that people just do things because they are conditioned that way. And so because of that, you are really unaffected by that, because you understand the nature of other people. You just shrug their shoulders, you understand it's their problem, it's their conditioning, they are the ones who are trapped, and you don't have to react to other people's bad conditioning or bad habits. You can be unaffected by that and have compassion for them instead, as it says here. You will not blurt out any bad words. When you feel that compulsion to say something in return, hold back, wait, ask yourself, am I looking at this in the right way? Then you remain full of compassion instead, because again, you understand, actually, this has got nothing to do with you. This is not personal. Remember, this is one of the most important things to remember. It's never personal. The reason we get angry is usually because we take it personal. They're speaking badly to me, right? It's not personal. It has to do with the other person. If another person was in your place, they would have to receive those bad words too. So it's nothing to do with you. It has to do with the other person. Once you take the personal out of it, it is far easier to have compassion for the other person. Yeah, because then you understand it's not about you. And this is one of those tricks. It's like, you know, like the simile I like is that you're coming to a red light. Yeah, when you come to a red light, you don't usually get really angry with a red light. Maybe you get a bit irritated because you're in a hurry and you need to go somewhere and the light goes red just as you come around the corner. But you don't get angry at the red light in the same way you get angry with a person. Yeah, if you do, then you maybe should see a psychologist or something. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to get really upset with a red light. Getting out of your car and giving that red light a good shake, you know, that's kind of not a good idea. So, but people are, in the end, like red lights. That's the whole point. A red light works on some kind of electronic circuit. Yeah, every 2 minutes it goes red and then it goes back, or maybe there are some sensors these days and all kind of things. They're getting very complicated these days. They're probably artificial intelligence right now in the red lights, so they're really smart. And so when they see you coming, because the red light doesn't like you anymore, yeah, because you have shook it in the past, when you come, it goes red on purpose. That's and artificial intelligence for you, it's kind of a bad idea. Anyway, so you don't get angry with the red light. Red lights work on electronic circuits. People work on conditioning it. They're a bit like robots, conditioned by some kind of program in a similar kind of way. You let go, you have compassion for them. They have the problem. They are trapped in their bad habits. It's nothing to do with you. It's a beautiful way of thinking about the world. Yeah, it's really powerful. And it makes you a different person when you think like this. And then it says here, you meditate, spreading a heart full of love to that person. Well, meditate, this is where I disagree with my good friend Bhante Sujato. The Pali word literally means something like you dwell with this, yeah, and dwelling is much more than meditating. It means that you carry this with you at all times, not just in meditation, but in all times you have the heart of love for that person. The reason he translates as meditate is because the Pali word is viharati, and viharati literally means to dwell. And in some context, it does mean meditate. Yeah. So then you have to decide, when does it mean meditate, or when does it mean something more? And there's a tendency to use it too much. And here, I think he uses it too much. Here, it actually means much more broadly than that. In many contexts, this word is a very broad kind of word. I don't know how interested you are in Pali translation, but there you are. Whether interested or not, you're getting it. So you spread the heart of loving kindness for that person. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating. We often taught in meditation that if you follow the way it is taught in the Visuddhimagga, it always starts off with a friendly person. That's who you have metta for first. And then you go to the neutral person, then the person who is difficult. Yeah. But here it's almost the opposite. You start with a difficult person. Isn't that kind of interesting? And why is that? And I think the reason is because it is already assumed someone who's practicing like this is already a really good person. You already don't have any enemies. Yeah, everyone is your friend already. Everyone is your mate. That's what they say in Australia, your mate. Everyone is your mate already. And so it is really, this is the only person you have a problem with there. Yeah. And so that's why you start with that person. So this is assuming that you're already doing really, really well, yeah, and you have a friendliness for the whole world. Okay, this person is a bit difficult. Let me make sure I don't give rise to any anger towards this person. And so that's why you start with this person. And then based with that person, with them as a basis, they then meditate, spreading the heart full of love to everyone in the world. Yeah, this is the standard description of metta. When you have it fully, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will, that is how you should train that. Going to the whole world No one is excluded from that. Abundant, expansive, yeah, full of metta, powerful metta, without limits, setting no boundaries, not saying these people are on the outside of the boundary, these are on the inside of the boundary. You have no enmity or ill will for anyone, any kind of being, whatever they might be. So it's a very high standard, but this is what we have something to move towards. And then we have a few nice similes to explain what is going on. Suppose a person was to come along carrying a spade and a basket and say, I shall make this great earth be without earth. And they would dig all over, scatter all over, spit all over, and urinate all over. Saying, be without earth, be without earth. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person make this great earth be without earth? No, sir. Why is that? Because this great earth is deep and limitless. It is not easy to make it be without earth. That person will eventually get weary and frustrated. I like these similes, they're kind of funny here. Come along. Be without earth, be without earth. So then the Buddha says, in the same way, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. Yeah, the speech may be timely, etc., etc. You should have a mind that is abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That is how you should train. So your mind should be like the great earth. And if someone has a spade and they kind of dig in one little corner of the earth is so large, it doesn't make any impact on the earth, just because you dig a little bit. In the same way, if your mind is really expansive and large and limitless, and it encompasses the whole world, even if someone is trying on the edges to kind of frustrate you a little bit, it has no effect on that expansive mind, because the mind is so large that there is no power that other people can have over you at this particular point. You are like the great earth. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if someone comes and urinates a little bit, and that's okay, you can deal with that. Yeah. Suppose a person was to come along with a dye, such as red lac, turmeric, indigo, and rose madder. Rose madder, I don't know what that is anyway. And say, I shall draw pictures on the sky, making pictures appear there. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person draw pictures on the sky? No, sir. Why is that? Because the sky is formless and invisible. It is not easy to draw pictures there. That person will eventually get weary and frustrated. Yeah, so you come along with all of these colors, turmeric, indigo, rose madder, whatever that is, and you try to draw pictures on the sky, yeah, in the same way that your mind, when it becomes large and kind of abundant, etc., it becomes like the sky, it becomes kind of untouchable in a sense. You cannot make any imprint on that mind in the same way you cannot actually make any drawings on space itself. If you try to draw in thin air, nothing will stick. Nothing sticks to that mind. It becomes like Ajahn Brahmali has this nice idea. I remember from many, many years ago, he said the mind is like Teflon, a Teflon mind. Nothing sticks on the mind. Yeah, it kind of just all peels off straight away. It just goes through you. It leaves no imprint in you. Just goes through into one ear, out the other. Nothing is left inside. That kind of sticks inside. This is the idea here. Nice little similes. The lac, the turmeric, the indigo. These are all the bad words coming from outside. In the same way, there are these 5 ways of speech in which others might criticize you. Suppose a person were to come along carrying a blazing grass torch and say, I shall burn and scorch the river Ganges with this blazing grass torch. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person burn and scorch the river Ganges with a blazing grass torch? No, sir. Why is that? Because the river Ganges is deep and limitless. It is not easy to burn and scorch it with a blazing grass torch. That person will eventually get weary and frustrated. For those of you who have seen the river Ganges, you will know that it is a very large river. It makes the Singapore River look like a tiny little stream by comparison, or the Swan River for that matter in Perth look really small. It's enormous. You go on the bridge and you travel for 3 kilometers to get across the river Ganges. And this is at Patna. This is already upstream a little bit. This is an absolutely enormous river. And then if you come across, like coming with a match and saying you're going to burn up the river now, it's not going to work. So again, it has no impact on that mind. The heat coming from outside does not heat up that mind. It is largely untouchable. It's a beautiful idea. This mind, that when you develop your mind in this way, you become untouchable by the world outside. You become incredibly independent. It's like you just look on the world and with bemusement and people behave in such funny ways, getting angry, and you look at them and you wonder what they're doing. And this is kind of what happens when you grow your mind in this way. There's no, you become untouchable in a positive sense of the word. And so it's really nice. And you can see this. There's some people in the world, when you look at them and you see other people getting angry with them or whatever, there's no reaction. They don't buy into that. They are aloof. They are beyond reacting to other people's bad conduct or defilements. You see someone like Ajahn Brahmali. I've lived with Ajahn Brahmali for almost 30 years, and I've seen people being upset with him and angry with him. And he doesn't really react. He just looks at them. And he has a sense of compassion. And he kind of shrugs his shoulders, whatever, and he kind of carries on. And it's actually very beautiful. And of course, the moment that happens, the other person, they become a bit self-conscious. They kind of start, instead of projecting onto Ajahn Brahm or projecting onto the person they're angry with, because that person doesn't react. If that person reacts, then that justifies their anger, because then you react back and then you kind of get this back and forth. But the moment you don't react, that person becomes aware of their own anger. And this is why we say that someone who is a really powerful spiritual person, they become like a mirror to other people, because you start seeing yourself rather than seeing the other person. You become self-conscious, self-aware of your own problem rather than projecting onto someone else. So you become like a mirror to other people, like meeting, some of these great masters. So that is the idea of the blazing grass torch and the river Ganges. In the same way, there is 5 ways in which one might criticize you. And then you come another simile, one simile after the other. Suppose there was a catskin bag. I don't think this is something that existed in ancient India. I don't think this exists anymore. But anyway, that was rubbed, well rubbed, very well rubbed, soft, silky, rid of rustling and crackling. Then the person comes along carrying a stick and a stone and says, I shall make this soft catskin bag rustle and crackle with the stick and stone. So it's a bit hard to understand what that means, because I don't think we have those catskin bags. Do they have catskin bags in Singapore? I've never heard of these things before, so it's a bit difficult to get it, but you get a rough idea of what's going on there. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person make that soft catskin bag rustle and crackle with sticks and swords? No. Why is that? Because that catskin bag is rubbed, well rubbed, very well rubbed, soft, silky, rid of rustling and crackling. It is not easy to make it rustle and crackle with a stick and stone. That person will eventually get weary and frustrated. I like the understatement. It is not easy to burn and scorch the river Ganges with a blazing grass torch. It is not easy. It's kind of nicely understated. In the same way, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. Their speech may be timely or untimely, true or false, gentle or harsh, beneficial or harmful, from a heart of love or from secret hate. When others criticize you, they may do so in any of these 5 ways. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected. We will blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate, or rather we will remain spreading a heart of love to that person. And with them as a basis, we will spread a heart like a catskin bag to everyone in the world. Abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That is how you should train. So there you are. This is the standard set for you right there. And now comes the simile of the saw. This is the original version of the simile of the saw. So listen. Even if low-down bandits were to sever you limb from limb, anyone who had a malevolent thought on that account would not be following my instructions. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected. We will blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will remain spreading a heart of love to that person, and with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading a heart full of love to everyone in the world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That is how you should train. So this is like the worst possible scenario. When someone is really dismembering you and mistreating you in the worst possible way, torturing you to death, that's essentially what they're doing. And still, if that happens, you are cool at heart, full of compassion. You understand who has the real problem. It is not really you, because you will, if you have this kind of love, you're going to go to a very happy destination afterwards. So you might even say, bring it on. Yeah, I'm ready for the next destination. The person who had the problem is the one who's doing the dismembering of this person. And when you get that, then you really see that clearly. Then that is when you can practice in this way. It's a very high standard, a high bar to clear, but you can see how actually it is possible to do it. So, then the sutta ends. If you frequently reflect on this advice, the simile of the saw, do you see any criticism, large or small, that you could not endure? No, sir. So, mendicants, you should frequently reflect on this advice, the simile of the saw. This will be for your lasting welfare and benefit. That is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, the mendicants were happy with what the Buddha said. So there you are, the simile of the saw, the Kakacupama Sutta in brief. That is how it works. So this is how you develop metta for the entire world. Okay, so let us move on then. We still have a lot of suttas left in this thing, so we might as well carry on slowly and let's see where it gets us. So the next sutta is called the Girimananda Sutta. It's found in the Anguttara Nikaya 10, the 10th chapter, sutta number 60. And this sutta is quite famous. It is famous as a Paritta Sutta. Paritta are suttas that are chanted, and we chant them often as a blessing for people. Yeah, if they're very sick or whatever, this is one of the suttas that is chanted as blessings for the sick. I don't know exactly why this sutta is chanted, but that is what is actually happening. Probably because this is what is happening in the sutta itself. Yeah, someone is sick, and then he gives this teaching, and this is how this comes to happen. So yeah, so let's have a quick look at the beginning here, because this is actually what you have at the beginning. At one time, the Buddha was staying in Savatthi in 𝐁𝐫𝐚𝐡𝐴 Grove, another Pindika's monastery now. Now, at that time, the Venerable Girimananda was sick, suffering gravely ill. And then Venerable Ananda went up to the Buddha, bowed, and sat down to one side, and said to him, "Sir, Venerable Girimananda is sick, suffering, and gravely ill. Sir, please go to Venerable Girimananda out of compassion." And the Buddha replies, "Ananda, if you were to recite to the monk Girimananda these 10 perceptions, it is possible that after hearing them, his illness will die down on the spot." So this is the background. This is why this is chanted as a paritta, because you can see here that it was used at that time. And of course, at the end of the sutta, surprise, surprise, Girimananda is well. Yeah, and he is kind of fine after hearing these 10 perceptions. And this is kind of, sounds a bit like magic. Yeah, you hear this sutta, and we're going to go through the sutta now, and we're going to read it, and we're going to see if you get rid of all your coughing and all the things. And you'll be surprised, maybe it will not work. Yeah, this is the problem. And you find this in a number of places in the sutta, you find this kind of thing. Yeah? And one of the most famous places is found in the Bojjhanga Samyutta. Yeah? These are the connected discourses on the 7 factors of awakening. Yeah? And some of those really famous discourses, one of them is where the Buddha himself is sick. And the Buddha is sick. Yeah? And then Venerable Chunda, I think it is, it's Venerable Chunda. Is it Venerable Chunda? I think so, I can't remember now. But anyway, yeah, okay, thank you. The Venerable Chunda, the Buddha says, please recite the 7 factors of awakening here. And then he recites the 7 factors of awakening, and at the end of it, the Buddha is fine now. And then there's 2 more suttas coming straight after that, yeah, where other monks are sick. One gets bitten by a snake or something, and they recite the 7 factors of awakening. Another one is sick, and they recite the 7 factors of awakening, and then they are okay afterwards. Yeah, so these are become paritta chants. These are things that we do when people get sick. Yeah, so someone in the hospital, we chant these things. Do they get healthy? No. So what's going on here? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And so I think what may be going on, yeah, is that, for example, when someone is really sick, it's as if you lose the energy of the mind. You lose your ability to bring up that energy, which often can overcome the illness. If you are very powerful, like an arahant or whatever, that energy of the mind may be sufficient sometimes to overcome certain kinds of illnesses. Not all illnesses, but maybe certain kind of illnesses, because the mind is so powerful. And this is sort of thing which Ajahn Brahmali will say all the time. This is why he claims to be so healthy, because of his, and he does have a very powerful mind, so I think very well, that may very well be part of the truth. Yeah, and so then when the Buddha is really sick, he doesn't have that mental energy. Someone recites these bojjhangas, and the bojjhangas are all about energy, power of the mind, yeah, the piti, the rapture, the joy, yeah, you have the virya sambojjhanga, the energy sambojjhanga, the passaddhi, the calm and the peace, you have the piti, yeah, these are all about those factors of the mind that make awakening possible. So when someone else recites it and you get reminded of what they are, because you haven't got that energy yourself, that reminder brings them about in your mind. And when they are brought about in your mind, then you overcome the illness. I think something like that is happening there, yeah? You just need someone else to help you a little bit. Because everyone, when you get sick, your energy goes down, regardless of whether you're an arahant or whatever, it still happens. And so it is not magic, yeah? There is some real effective going on between the mind and the body. And this is why, you know, when you go to hospital and you recite it for an ordinary person, why it doesn't work. The reason it doesn't work because they don't really understand what the bojjhangas are. Yeah, rapture, energy, whatever, you know, you haven't any experience with those things. And because you haven't got the experience, it doesn't lift you up in the same way as it lifts up someone who is an arahant or someone who is a noble person. And that's why it doesn't really work. So sometimes when we chant to someone in hospital, okay, it's a nice thing to do. Yeah, we're doing something positive, and so there's nothing wrong with it, but we shouldn't expect these kind of results. And then we should do something else for them. Yeah, be kind to them, say something nice, bring them a nice gift or whatever, yeah, and tell them that you love them and I wish you happiness and well-being. Give them a hug, remind them of all the good things they have done in life, show them some extra care and compassion. These are the things we should do with when we have a loved one or a close friend who is in hospital and very sick or whatever. Yeah. So this is a little bit of background for these ideas of the paritas that you find. Paritas means like protections usually, and these are the things that you find a number of places in the suttas that are used even in the present day when someone is ill or whatever it might be wrong with them. One of the nice paritas is found in the Anguttara Nikaya as well, also found in the Vinaya Pitaka. That is a parita to protect you against kind of scorpions and spiders and snakes and creepy crawlers, that sort of thing. Yeah. That's another one, and it's one of those interesting things. Does it work? And maybe it works, but usually it works if you are a very pure person. Yeah, if you've got a very pure heart, then maybe there are powers in this world that will protect you a little bit, like devas or whatever. And we have seen before how these sometimes can actually work for our benefit. Anyway, let's have a look at these perceptions that have this power and what this is all about. Then the Buddha said, well, what are these 10 perceptions? And they are as follows: the perception of impermanence, yeah, anicca sanya, perception of not-self, anatta sanya, the perception of ugliness, asubha sanya, I think, something like that. I think it's asubha sanya. Perception of drawbacks, adinava sanya, the perception of giving up, the pahana sanya, perception of fading away, the viraga sanya, the perception of cessation, the nirodha sanya, the dissatisfaction with the whole world, the sabbha loke anabhirata sanya. I really like that one. It sounds kind of rolls off the tongue in a nice way, the sabbha loke anabhirata sanya. The impermanence of all conditioned phenomena, all phenomena. I don't like all conditions. I'm sorry about the Sujata, but I don't like that one. Impermanence of all phenomena, the sabbe sankhara anicca sanya, and the last one is a bit surprising, mindfulness of breathing, yeah, anapanasati, which here is called a perception. It is not normally called that, but obviously it is a perception. When you follow the breath, what are you perceiving? Well, you are perceiving the breath. It is a particular way of recognizing something. That is what perception is. And that recognition of the breath is also a perception. So it can be looked upon in that way. So let us have a look at each one of these. It's a very wide variety here of perceptions. And because this retreat is about developing perceptions, this is like one of the main suttas that I have thought of because it has such a breadth of perceptions. What is the perception of impermanence? It is when the mendicant has gone to the wilderness or to the root of a tree or to an empty hut and reflects like this. Form, feeling, perception, choices, and consciousness are impermanent. And so they meditate observing impermanence in the 5 grasping aggregates. This is called the perception of impermanence. So, I don't know if that makes any sense to you. It is not really obvious how you do that, right? And you may make kind of theoretical sense, but how do you actually do that? You just sit down here, form as a permanent feeling, kind of reciting to yourself. Is that what it means? That doesn't have any power if you just recite these things. It has to refer to something in your experience. That is when things are powerful. So we have to somehow translate this into our personal experience. Then this will start to make sense, what is going on here. The first thing to note here is that it talks about A mendicant, well, it could be anyone, really, layperson or mendicant, but very often the Buddha will teach the mendicants, the monastics, that's why that is mentioned here. And then he said, gone to the wilderness, yeah, aranya gato, gone to the foot of a tree or the root of a tree, rukamula gato, gone to an empty hut, sunyagara gato. Yeah, and this is already very interesting right there, because what this means is that we are dealing with real meditation practice. Yeah, this is not just any kind of reflection that you do at any time. This is something you do in solitude. These things are the markers of solitude. And if you go to the Anapanasati Sutta, yeah, the sutta which is really about meditation, all suttas that deal with meditation in a certain way have this as the starting point. Anapanasati Sutta has exactly the same formula. Gone to the wilderness, to the root of a tree, or to an empty hut. Real meditation, when it really starts to bite, when it comes to real samadhi, real insight, real reflection like here, it happens in solitude. Why? Because you have to withdraw from the five sense world. The five sense world is what stops real meditation. People, noises, company, all of these things stop the mind from really going within and letting go of the world outside. It is hard to let go of the world outside if you're not in solitude. That is why this is so important. Yeah, the five senses is the opposite of going within. And as long as you are in the city, as long as you are around other people, the senses tend to go out. It is the opposite of going in, and so it is hard to meditate for that reason. Yeah, so this again shows you the importance of solitude on the Buddhist path. It really matters, especially for the deeper aspects of the path. So then you reflect like this, yeah, for the five khandhas are impermanent. So only when you have gone into solitude. And so what you can assume here is that this is part of a meditation practice. So you will already have meditated beforehand. Your mind will already be peaceful. You can assume that you have done anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing, to a large degree. Maybe you have achieved a state of samadhi where your mind is really together, really focused. Yeah. Ideally, you will have achieved samadhi, but if you haven't achieved the full samadhi, partial samadhi will also be helpful, and you can start using this kind of contemplation. Yeah? So this is like the background. You have a high degree of peace of mind. And when you have a high degree of peace of mind, the higher that degree is, the more you will be able to see the impermanence of the five khandhas. Why? Because the reason why you are peaceful, the reason why you have samadhi, is because these five khandhas have already started disappearing. Yeah, that disappearance of the five khandhas, the viraga, nirodha, etc., that is their impermanence. It's important to understand that impermanence in Buddhism, anicca, has many degrees to it. And when you go and you have a look at the Anapanasati Sutta, it has 16 steps. The last 4 steps are the steps concerned with insight, and they are anicca nupassi, contemplating anicca, impermanence. Then viraga nupassi, contemplating fading away. Then nirodha nupassi, contemplating cessation. Then patinisagga nupassi, contemplating giving up, yeah, the ending of things, not the ending, the giving up of things. The ending is the nirodha. And so what is this sequence? Well, what this sequence is, it is deeper and deeper aspects of impermanence, right? Anicca is only the beginning in this case. And the deeper the impermanence, the more things have actually disappeared completely. Sometimes we think impermanence means things arising and kind of, going up, going down, rising and falling. But the rising and falling is a very superficial kind of impermanence. It's like the waves on the ocean. Yeah, they rise and fall, but the ocean is still there. Things haven't really faded and ceased. Yeah, that is a very superficial kind of impermanence. The real impermanence was when things start to fade and disappear. And this is what happens in your meditation. That's why you start to understand the impermanence of the five khandhas deeply, because they are actually fading away. When you become peaceful, the body fades away. Eventually, it ceases completely. When you become really peaceful, the five senses fade away, eventually ceasing completely. A number of perceptions fade away. The perception of pain fades away. When the meditation goes well, there's no pain anymore. All there is bliss in the mind. Certain feelings fade away. A large part of your perceptions are gone. All that is left when you come deeply into meditation is just the breath, or just the nimitta, just the light in the mind. All other perceptions are gone. A tiny little bit of the world is left. Everything else has faded and ceased. That is where you have the raw data for understanding the five khandhas. What you're understanding here is the five khandhas, because it is about you, about your experience of the world. The will is fading away. That's why you're becoming more peaceful. You have the mind becoming more calm. Craving is going. There's no movement in the mind. Nothing is really happening. It is fading away, eventually ceasing completely when you enter the jhana states. Consciousness is fading away. The senses are disappearing. Ultimately, only the mind is left. Five kinds of consciousness relating to the five senses are completely gone. So this is what it means to reflect on the five khandhas. You actually, it's not just a reflection. It is a review of what has happened in your meditation. That reviewing is far more powerful because there is a real observing of fading away. This may sound like a theoretical exercise. Form is fading away. I guess. No, it is not just a theoretical exercise. It is based on the real data that you get through meditation practice. That is when it becomes powerful. So this is one way of thinking about this idea, of the five khandhas being impermanent in this way. But this is not the only way. This is a really profound way. And when your samadhi becomes incredibly deep, it becomes very clear how impermanent the five khandhas are. You start to see these things very clearly. This is contemplating the five khandhas. Because it is ultimately your perception that actually is affected by the world outside in this way. So that is another way of thinking about this. So everything is really included. Any experience you have is included in this kind of contemplation. So in this way, you meditate observing impermanence in the five upadana khandhas, the five grasping aggregates. This is called the perception of impermanence, the anicca sanya, how to develop that. So this is one of the, perhaps in many ways, the most important perceptions that you can develop in your life. Understanding how everything in the world, everything in your experience is unreliable, uncertain, subject to change. We don't want that. We want things to be reliable. We want things to be so that we can know that they are there for us in the future. We don't want people to die. That is a kind of a perception change. When people die, then that is actually our khandhas are changing, our perceptions are changing. And so you're just as a reminder that things are unreliable when we want them to be reliable. And this is the problem. And as this idea sinks in, then all the consequences of life, the suffering of life, the non-self of life kind of emerge from that. This is almost like the foundational perception that make all the other perceptions come alive as a consequence of this. And this is again why the Buddha mentioned this at the time of his passing away. The last thing, the last words of the Buddha, Bhaya Dhamma Sankhara, Appamadena Sampadeta. All phenomena are subject to come to an end. Bhaya Dhamma Sankhara. This is the summary of the entire Buddhist teachings. Just before the Buddha draws his last breath, he says these teachings. So very, very powerful right there. And I think this is why, this is the first perception here, in these 10 perceptions because it provides the foundation for all the other perceptions that follow. From this, right view follows. This is, in a sense, the foundation of right view. And when that right view foundation is in place, the whole Noble Eightfold Path, everything follows as a consequence. It is exactly 11 o'clock here, so I'm going to stop there. So please have a nice lunch together, and then we will have some more interviews at 2 o'clock. Is that correct, Eileen? Yeah. And then back at 3:30, we will carry on with the exciting Girimananda Sutta. So see you back again later on.